আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আজকে আমাদের রমাদান স্পেশালের ইসলামিক হিস্টোরির নবম এপিসোডে এসে আমরা উপস্থিত। সো ধারাবাহিকভাবেই আমরা প্রথম কয়েকদিন অটোমান হিস্ট্রি নিয়ে আসলে কথা বলছি, দেন পার্সিয়ানদের খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ কিছু বিষয় আসলে কথা বলছি, তাদের ন্যাশনালিজমের যে উইয়ার্ড ফ্যাসিনেশন তারা আসলে তৈরি করছে, শিয়া মাযহাবের একটা বড় এলিমেন্ট আছে। দেন তাদের নিজস্ব যে জোরাস্ট্রিয়ান এম্পায়ার ছিল, যেটা তোমার ইসলামের আগে ছিল, তারা এখন ওই এম্পায়ারের সাথে একটা উইয়ার্ড ফ্যাসিনেশন ডেভেলপ করতেছে, প্রচুর পরিমাণে এথিস্ট হইতেছে। দেন তাদের শিয়া মাযহাব ইন জেনারেল যে রোল প্লে করতেছে, ইরানিদের বাকি দুনিয়ার রেজিস্ট্যান্সের সাথে আসলে কি একটা সম্পর্ক, ইরানিদের যে মাযহাব শিয়া মাযহাবে তারা ডেভেলপ করছে, এটা আসলে শুধু একটা ইউনো কোনো ছোটখাটো জায়গা আসলে বন্ধ বা আবদ্ধ কইরা কিন্তু আসলে কোনো রিলিজিয়ন প্র্যাকটিস করতেছে না, তারা এটাকে রেভলিউশনাইজ করতেছে। প্রত্যেকটা শিয়া মাযহাবের এরিয়াগুলোতেও তারা ওই জিনিসটাকে এক্সপোর্ট করতেছে সামহাউ। সো তারা ডেভেলপ করতেছে ওই রেভলিউশনকে আসলে এক্সপোর্ট করার যে প্রবণতা তারা আজকের দিন পর্যন্ত আসলে ধারণ করে, এটা অনেক বেশি ফ্যাসিনেটিং। সো এই বিষয়ে আমরা আসলে কথা বলছি, চাইলে আগের 2-3 এপিসোডে গিয়ে দেখে আসতে পারো। সো আজকে আমরা তারই ধারাবাহিকভাবে আরো ডিপ আসলে ঢোকার চেষ্টা করব এবং দেখার চেষ্টা করব যে ইরানিদের ওভারঅল এই ন্যাশনালিজম, শিয়া মাযহাব ইন জেনারেল তারা আসলে কতটুকু এখনো এই বিষয়গুলোকে আসলে প্লাস ধারণ করে এবং কত বেশি তারা আসলে লড়াই করার জন্য প্রস্তুত।
And voted for Ayatollah Khomeini at a rate of 99%. Now you're acting fresh and pretending you have nothing to do with Islam. We are the most schizophrenic nation on earth.
That's true. And I think that can stand without its context. I mean, from the outsider's perspective, it's so nuts when Iranians say we're not Muslim now as a way of just saying we don't like the government, by the way, but they have no optics or no presentation. That's why they don't understand just to say we don't like Islamism or we don't like the government or we're peaceful Muslims. So when they just say we're not Muslim, the Westerners think, well, didn't you demolish your really ancient inheritance and continued tradition because you felt so strongly about being Muslim? I remember seeing the videos on TV in black and white of you guys freaking out and installing Sharia and talking about how you should amputate people now. And so what happened to that? All that does, even if it's true, which is not, we still are Muslim. We can't escape ourselves. But even if that was true, what does that say about a nation that in 47 years, it had such a schizophrenic shift, such a whiplash? It's just unbelievable. I mean, that would be, you couldn't take such a people seriously. Just the fact that they even say that shows how little they think this through, how NPC-like they are. They just download the programming from Israel or whatever, and then the hospital programming, or from Los Angeles or the State Department, Langley, Virginia, and then they say, we're not Muslim. Yeah, you know, have you seen the NPC memes where they take the chip out? They take the COVID chip, and then they put the Ukraine chip, and they take the Ukraine chip, and then they put the whatever chip, and then now it's like Iran. They took this chip and they put we're not Muslim chip. No, it's some kind of,
they have some kind of mass Havana syndrome, Reagan situation going on, man. Like this mass psychosis that they have going, they can really turn a population, you know, within not even within like a few generations, within like the span of a decade, they can turn people around.
You're very true, yeah. No, and Iranians have been turned. I agree.
It's genuinely tragic. On the love of being gay. This is what one of my colleagues has noted down this tweet as: I'm not a Nazi. Sure. I'm a brown Muslim. I'm not a homophobe. I'm a Persian. We're the gayest nation on earth. My classical poets were all gay, and I love that. I'm just saying, don't worry. You'll have fun while my civilization teaches your ethno-state a lesson.
Oh, this was during the 12-day war. Well, we did teach them a lesson. They asked Trump to end the war. And this time when Trump wanted to attack Iran, Israel said, no, don't do it. We're not ready yet. We're not ready. We got a clobbering last time. We don't want to get reclobbered. So that was in response to these pink washers, I think it's called, where they say, oh, you know, we need to demolish and destroy these countries. We need to drone Pakistani women and children because they don't like gays in Pakistan. Isn't that so awful? So that means millions of these people. Yeah, millions of these people have to die and be made refugees and suffer and starve and go on rafts and go, God forbid, across the Mediterranean because, they don't have a gay club in that country. Oh my God. And it's so amazing because these people, back when they actually were in the way they characterize homophobia, they were actually that, right? When they were that, we had sultans who were gay. Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi, I know we love him. Look at what they wrote in the literature about him and Ayaz.
Watch yourself. You talked about Nader Shah.
I know you hate
Nader Shah over here, and we love Mahmud of Ghazni over here.
So we're the opposite. We hate Mahmud Ghaznavi and we love Nader Shah. Yeah. Very, very funny, weird rivalries and attitudes towards kings.
Yeah, but who has the nukes now? Huh?
I know, but
who has the
anyway,
nukes now?
So please don't nuke.
And some of our nukes are called Ghazni, by the way.
Are you serious?
Ghazni, yeah, some of our missiles, yeah. Ghaznavi,
named after Mahmud Ghaznavi.
Listen, I'll just let me name some of our rockets to you. Ghaznavi, Abdali, Ahmad Shah Abdali, who is also a famous Afghan conqueror. We have a ship called Babur. One of our frigate classes is called Babur. Babur as in like Babur of Mughal. And in fact, in the Pakistani popular mythos, do you know who the first Pakistani is?
Babur?
No, the first Pakistani is Muhammad bin Qasim al-Thaqafi, who is an
first one who came.
Who's an Umayyi commander from Taif who conquers the Sindh, which is the
entrance of Islam to South Asia.
Yeah, he's called the first Pakistani. He's in our history books as well. Yeah, that's the first Pakistani.
I mean, all nations do this. All nations imagine where they start. Romulus and Remus, all these things. So yeah, the people who are worried about rights of the liberal sort in the Muslim world, I hope that they would understand. Those types of liberal rights tend to emerge in countries with strong middle classes.
Yes.
So the way to get there is not to impoverish and sanction and drone and bomb and destroy the country so that in the ruins, when warlords and gangsters and insane people rule, like you have in countries like Lebanon and Iraq and Syria now, unfortunately, where there's killings and all kinds of reprisals. That's not the type of country where we become really frou-frou and frou-frou and gay. Gays come from rich countries. So if you want us to be gay, make us rich, please. Give us a lot of money.
Yeah.
We'll all be gay.
We'll be gay.
Have you seen the meme? Have you seen the meme where it's like it's a voiceover AI where Zelensky reads a news article where Biden shifted the funding of Ukraine towards Israel, and then he says, "But Biden, I am Jew. Okay, I am Jew too. And if you want, I will make all of Ukraine Jew. Every Ukrainian will be Jew." So I will tell that to the Westerners. If you unsanction us, I promise we will all become gay. We'll all be gay for you. I swear to God. Just let the news, the economic news, off of our throat. We'll be gay, we'll be feminist, we'll be everything.
I'll raise my glass to that.
You raise your glass.
Bring back the boy loving.
Would that make me worthy? No, I mean, I joke, but it's like, would that make me worthy of human dignity and rights and of a life in my home country? If I was just that, fine. Yeah, that's a fair trade. I'll do that for you, sir. Fine, I'll do that.
On the continuation of our love of being gay, Middle Eastern seculars started by criticizing the widespread homosexuality in our societies. Then they took control, Ataturk, Reza Shah, and eradicated any same-sex love from the public sphere. Now, after losing control, seculars criticized religious Muslims for refusing the same practice they had condemned a century ago. And there's a picture of some kind of propaganda cartoon with a young boy in front of some kind of sheikh. Yeah, it's a really fascinating, sort of topsy-turvy. In Pakistan, by the way, the liberal class really hammers home the idea that the madrasa class are boy lovers, and
it's just true.
But then they also have pride parades.
It always existed. I mean, I know it's funny. They view it as a negative thing. They're like, oh, they're condemnable for being boy lovers, but then
you know what it is? But they add in this they have this magic caveat of consent and the arbitrary ages of 16 or 18 or 20 or whatever. It's always some sort of arbitrary. It's like it's like even the expression of this carnal sort of human sexuality has to be legislated in the postmodern liberal secular sort of it has to come into this government
right. Yeah, this is a particular way of viewing it. Well, I mean, I always point out that, for example,
for sexuality is so unsexy, by the way.
It is, yeah. This whole like affirmed consent thing.
It's-
I remember one time I saw a tutorial video on YouTube. Some anti-woke person had posted of what they were playing for college students. And I thought, this is the most unappealing performance I've seen in my life. Like you said, it is very unsexy and unnatural. It's very Anglo-brained. Anglos like to think of everything in an orderly and very transparent and openly announced way, whereas Easterners, everything's kind of unsaid, a lot more untransparent, more veiled, and it is more appealing, which is why the romances that are compelling to the world come from our part of the world, not from their part of the world anymore. But regarding this thing, though, that cartoon you pointed out is of a man and a man sitting on their knees, like the way you would do a nikah, right? Like you sit on your knees in front of the imam, and the imam is reading from the Quran. And there was a concept in the medieval Muslim world called ahd ukhuvat, the brotherhood pact. And it was euphemistically in many ways like a civil union. Like two men would take a ahd ukhuvat, the brotherhood pact, to travel and live and etc. together. So the Turkish phrasing under that, which was written in Iranian Azerbaijan, says they're taking a brotherhood pact, parentheses, call it anything but a marriage, parentheses. So the seculars used to say the Muslims have civil marriages like we used to have in America before gay marriage. They basically have gay marriage. Oh my God, can you believe that? So they purge us and make us to be like Victorian. We're always, the liberals in the Muslim world are always 100 years behind for some reason, right? So they made us like 1800s Europeans in the 1900s, very uptight about sexuality. Don't have many wives because that's desirous. Have one wife. Don't have a male lover because that's desirous. That's a perverted desire. Have one female lover. And then now that we have finally internalized that colonial Western idea of what sexuality is, then they come and say, how dare you, you backwards, ignorant Muslim, to have that view. And I said, well, you're the one who brought this backwardness to begin with for us. And another interesting thing about this is that people, and I'm kind of losing my train of thought, but people basically, they can't think outside of themselves. They can't think outside of their current moment. They can't zoom out and see how things were in the past.
It's the moment. And even there's like a presentism. Mm-hmm. There's a presentism when it comes to looking at historical sexual behaviors or practices in retrospect.
Right.
That's what happens in Pakistan as well, that the liberals will generally be like, they have browbeaten the religious class now into behaving in a more, in a more sort of monogamous, is that what the word is? Yeah. Monogamous sort of, very like, almost like in a where they're agnostic to any other sexuality beyond that scope. They've browbeaten them into it, and now they want them to become cosmopolitan again. And there's like a weird kind of, and they want to have their cake and eat it as well, which is like a weird like, oh, they're too passionate, they're too sexual, they're too wild, and at the same time, it's like, oh, they're so backward when it comes to sexuality and ideas of consent. And it's like, is the mullah getting married too many times and having too many kids, or is he
too close-minded?
Is he like some kind of autistic Victorian white guy?
It's really interesting.
Okay, first of all, আমি এটা শুরু করার আগে ভাবতেছিলাম যে এখানে আসলে ক্লোজারটা দিবে, কারণ এটা পুরো একটা পডকাস্ট ছিল। তো আমি ভাবছিলাম ক্লোজার দিবে ইরানিদের ওই শিয়া মাযহাব এবং ইরানিদের ইন্টারনাল ইস্যুতে। সো ওই আলেমদের কথা বলতে বলতে তারা এখন একটা সেক্সের দিকে আসলে চলে গেছে কথাবার্তা। সো ইটস ওকে, তোমার এটা আসলে কন্টিনিউ করবো, কারণ এটা চলুক। দেন পরবর্তী সময় আমরা আবারও হিস্টোরিক্যাল ইসলামিক হিস্ট্রিতে ইন জেনারেল আবার কথা বলা শুরু করবো। যদিও এই সেক্সের যে ওভারঅল ইস্যুগুলো, এগুলো কিন্তু ইতিহাসের ভিতরেই পড়ে, এটা কোনো ইস্যু নেই। বাট তারপর আমি বুঝতে পারছি যে তোমার কিছু আসলে ওদিক যাইতেছে, এবং মোস্ট প্রবাবলি এই পুরা শেষের অংশটুকু আসলে ওই দিকে যাবে। সো বলে নিলাম, আমরা আবার শুরু করি।
See this transition in his lifetime, Iraj Mirza from the 20th century in Iran, the early 20th century. He grows up, he goes to madrasa, learns Arabic, and he writes boy love poems like any kind of mullah type person. And then he becomes a secularist. He goes and lives in France and becomes an atheist and westernized. And he writes a poem saying Europeans, they think they're such lovers, but they don't know anything about boy love. They're so ignorant of the realist love. Like, because the Greeks from that ancient time to the Persians, they believed that was the real essence of love, was boy love, not loving women. So then later he writes that he's actually embarrassed of this fact, that he found that in all the advanced nations, they think it's disgusting and that only we do this. And then he went back to Iran and he wrote a poem basically advising men not to be boy lovers. And there's a literal line in it where he says, for the sake of nationalism, love women. It's nationalistic to have women lovers because you increase the population, etc. Whereas having boy lovers is backwards and Eastern and anti-nationalistic. So he has a line where he literally says, if you're a nationalist, have love with women, don't do the other thing. And he uses very explicit terminology. So it reminded me of almost like a red-blooded American. If you say, are you gay? He would say, God forbid, I'm an American patriot. I love women. And that's kind of an Iranian.
Why is your conservative voice just Hassan Abi doing conservative people? You know Hassan Piker?
Oh, really? Is that his? Yeah, I know him. We actually interacted with him on Twitter recently because he took one of my tweets about people not understanding the Islamic Republic's point of view. And he said that, even though what's funny is he knew I had disagreements with him on Twitter. So he's probably seen my tweets and ignored them. But he's like, yeah, this person doesn't fully agree with me, but this is a good tweet. And I tweeted, I said, Hassan, you didn't know that I'm a Turk. And so he liked that, and he kind of tweeted at me, and we haven't interacted
Did you make
since.
the wolf emoji?
I did do this thing. I posted the wolf and the CCC, and he liked it, but he didn't interact with me anymore. I
had no idea you were Turanis like that. You know what I mean? Like I thought I was talking to a representative of the regime.
The last time someone came, we have a roomie circle here. The last time someone came from my roomie circle, she said, I'm from Turkey. I said, you look so Turkish. She said, yeah, I'm from Turkey. So I said, Turkey, like as a joke. And then she said, oh, but I'm a Kurd. So I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. I love Kurds. You're Iranic too. So, it's like the meme where a guy said, wow, you're so beautiful. Turkey stands with Russia. And then she said, but I'm Ukrainian. And he says, wow, you're so beautiful. Turkey stands with Ukraine 100%. My memes are like that. I'll adjust the memes. It's fine. We're just here to laugh. It's not a big deal.
And I feel like over the years of being an internet troll, you're used to putting your foot in your mouth. You know what I mean? Like just like that.
Yeah. We're used to the trolling. Yeah.
It's just very sad that we didn't have podcasts at the time of the revolution. We could have just hashed these things out with the Americans. We could have just chit-chatted with them.
And podcast. Well, they thought that as well, frankly, about the Iranians, that the Iranians were willing to, quote unquote, hash things out. And they were sending envoys and emissaries and backdoor channel messages to Iranians. But they actually found out, no, these Iranians are actually standing on business about the whole anti-Western thing. It wasn't just a bit. Like when they took over the embassy was when America realized, like, oh, wait. And they were blindsided because, think about it. They didn't even think to clear their embassy staff because they thought, oh, this is just normal leftist agitation. We've seen, anti-America. We've seen it before. But then when they were climbing over the embassy walls, America realized, oh, shoot, they're actually serious about this stuff. And then they were totally blindsided. So with Iranians, you never know. Dialogue still might not be enough for us.
But I think I'm more cynical than that. I think it's beyond dialogue. I think that the beast that is the nation, the modern nation state or the modern imperial style nation state like America, it's not operating on any sort of human. You know what I mean? Like it's like algorithms or whatever, they have like supercomputers to compute what to do, when to do, you know what I mean? Like it's not people sitting down, and obviously at the end of the day, it is people, it is comprised of human beings, but it's almost algorithmic in it that it has its own life.
Or it's like a Leviathan that's too big for anyone to steer.
Yeah.
So you see how Trump has so many things he wants to do that get stymied by courts or whatever. So Chris Yarvin made this point. He said the president is not even really the president because he doesn't just get to come in and implement his agenda. He comes in for 2 years. He has resistance at the court level, and then there are midterms, and then you lose the midterms, and then you can't do anything. So the U.S. presidency, you're just like, no president is able to accomplish anything. I'm willing to give Obama, I'm sure you probably wouldn't like him, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe he was serious about closing Guantanamo. Maybe he was serious about making peace with Iran. Maybe he was serious about ending the wars. But then he realized, oh, wait a minute, I can't even get a basic healthcare. Even the healthcare thing, he had to neuter it to pass it. So the U.S. president can't even really do anything. No one even knows who's steering the ship. It's like, again, it's too big to steer. There's too many different parts.
In Obama's case,
president? Is it...
In Obama's case, I think it's like an innamal a'malu bin niyat kind of thing. That's why they give him the Nobel Peace Prize, That's why they big bucks at Goldman Sachs or whatever, and I respect that. I have a deep love for Obama as the first gay president of America, openly gay. And
gay Muslim president
gay Muslim,
from a long history of gay Muslims. He's just the latest gay Bachabaz Muslim.
Yeah. Bachabaz for the non-Persian world Muslim brothers and sisters listening is boy lover. It just means boy lover. Yeah, and that was one of our big hits from the Muslim Brotherhood. Getting Obama in, and so that he could drone us in our homes in Afghanistan and Pakistan and Iraq and whatever
stuff. Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. No, I remember the drone wars, man. It was a nightmare.
It shows how it changes you. I mean, Obama went from being a radical to being personal friends with Edward Said, eating dinner with Edward Said privately, to what he became. I mean, it just shows you when you're in power, if you don't change, it changes you. Something's got to happen in that midst.
Yeah, with Mamdani, you're seeing it in real time, real fast. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Maybe soon he'll wear the kippah and the tefillin, and he'll go to the Wailing Wall.
He'll go to the wall and do
the whole thing. No, God, I don't think he will. Just
no. I mean, he'll maintain some. AOC was the most fascinating one for me. She's, she did a real 180. Alexandria. She did a real harsh 180.
You have to survive in politics. It's not a choice.
It's an ugly
Otherwise
business.
You'll get sidelined.
It's an ugly business.
You'll get sidelined.
And just some critiques about the Iranian regime. This is what we've always thought, and I want to hear your thoughts on it in Pakistan.
Sure.
Are that the Iranian regime sort of tried to play the balancing act between the West and East for too long. And they never really settled on any Russian aid. It's like a bit of Russian defense, and Pakistan has Chinese technology. Pakistan has American and native technology for air defense, and it's just so shocking to us for us to see that Iran never developed any between the poles.
Yeah.
And then
I think
on another level, the nuclear business also were shocked by it because Pakistan proliferated everywhere, including Iran, and nobody did anything about it. They sort of leveraged it against They were like, oh, it was the Pakistanis. Everybody was like, oh, it's the Pakistanis. And, got like something in return, some maybe financial or political. And they never doubled down on that thing. And it was very strange to me. Obviously, are they nuclear capable? Are they not? It's not something that I can say confidently, but maybe they are. But not at the level of a Pakistan or an India. And that's so weird to me because Iran is a deep history of science and espionage, and if that's what it takes, like scientific achievement and espionage,
they could have done it. I think it was strategic. All of this is strategic. We could say bad strategy, but it was strategic. So,
and the third one, I just want to just rack it on so that you can answer it in one, which is the strategic patience thing. It was existential from day one. By the way, since the 7th of October, it was existential. Hezbollah got their leadership decapitated. The Shabi is regional. Everybody's been beaten into, and then cynically, my cynical brain says Iran is like a rocket trying to get out into the stratosphere, and it's slowly dropping all of its weight. But right at the cusp of the stratosphere, Israel has it by the foot, and it's like, where are you going after, buddy? And that strategic patience stuff looks really dumb now, and I'm like,
you're right. No,
this is nuts.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things to unpack. So there's the whole neither East nor West thing where Iran, after the revolution, didn't want to go too much in one direction or the other, which explains why it's neither friends with the West nor really China. So we're neither like Turkey where you're buddies with America, nor like Pakistan where you're buddies with China. We're not really buddies with anyone. But they kind of viewed themselves as saying, oh, we'll be our own power in the Middle East. We don't need to stick ourselves to anyone. We'll be our own thing. And that worked for a while with the whole regional project that they had, but has now kind of wrapped up in the last few years. There was also the issue of, you said defenses, maybe they didn't want to be too attached to anyone to just wholesale import defense systems. They perceived the missiles and the outward force projection of the region to be enough of a defense, which it was for a while. Remember, they only attacked us when the regional scheme fell apart. And to explain the nuclear thing, I think they genuinely at first probably had a religious conviction against it. And then at some point they realized we can extract all the benefits we would get from having a nuclear weapons with the whole nuclear deal and whatever without actually having to make it. Just it's enough to say we will make it or play this strategic ambiguity game of we will, we won't, we will, we won't, Schrodinger's nuke, you could say. And that way we can just extract whatever we would get from it anyway without having to go all the way, and it's irreversible and it kind of changes what you are. And in some sense, when you're nuclear, you can never denuclearize really. I mean, this is rare, like, you have Ukraine and South Africa, but those are like transitional situations. Realistically, Iran would never get rid of its nukes. There's this whole kind of philosophical debate, but strategic patience is this Persian trait that there's this joke. it's a screenshot. It's like Iran's last warning, or there's like a screenshot of a news article. It's like Iran says this is the last time until they really fight next time. But I think they always had this idea of, oh, if we have a Republican, we'll wait till there's a Democrat, or, oh, we'll wait till Israel's worn down more. We'll wait. And then ultimately they just missed their moment. I think the moment to be strong and hit back would have been actually when Qasem Soleimani was assassinated way back in the days, when they should have actually showed their force. I think from that moment, they really got exposed as people who are too risk tolerant and too risk averse at the same time. So they tolerate risk from outside, and they would be averse to taking their own risks. And it was really from that moment when Israel and America realized, like, wait a minute, we can just hit these guys. And then they struck the embassy in Syria, and then they did this, and then that really boiled over in the 12-day war. And then they realized, oh shoot, we have to fight back. So finally they pushed back, but that might have been a little too late. They already smelled blood in the water. That, oh, Iran it's second guessing itself. It's not fully confident. It won't retaliate with full force. So I don't know, maybe now we'll see what their response to the next aggression will be. It looks like America's getting ready to hit. Let's see, based on what they do with response to that, with respect to that, what we'll see from them. But yeah, the strategic patience thing was a strategic failure.
The nuke thing, the Schrodinger's nuke thing, Pakistan did that in the 80s. There's interviews of our dictator at that time, Ziaul Haq, who in English, they're available if you want to ever check them out. And he very clearly would say stuff like, oh, I'm not building the bomb. And in fact, at one point, the journalist, the Langley trained journalist actually says to him that, oh, Mr. Zia, do you want to enjoy the benefits of threatening to build a nuclear bomb and then not actually building one, and then while also maintaining the leverage over India? And Ziaul Haq just says, I don't want to toot my own horn, but Pakistanis are intelligent people. But we actually did build it, though. But you know what I mean? Like,
you have to at the end. You dangle it for some time for the strategy of dangling it, but then it has to end in building it. If it ends in not building it, you get the worst of both worlds, which is what we did.
That's what but I also think that in the same sense that Israel is nuclear capable, even though we don't acknowledge it. Now we do, I guess. Nowadays we do. It could be fully possible that Iran is nuclear capable.
They could be. But then the wonder is, when do they test to unveil it? We would have to see that.
We're
Maybe if they think an American attack is imminent.
Yeah,
there has been seismic activity. You're right. Maybe they're testing things. I mean, I said they would be insane if once the 12-day war happened, they were not building at breakneck speed. And they say their breakout time is like 6 months and 12 months. So we're at 6 months right now. So who knows? Maybe they are. Very well could be.
It's a spooky thought. I've taken up way too much of your time. You've been...
সো আজকের জন্য এতটুকুই। সো অসাধারণ ছিল পডকাস্টটা। এবং শেষে কিছু পার্সনে আসলে কথা বলি যে ইরানিদের যেই স্ট্র্যাটেজিক পেশেন্ট, যে আসলে তারা 12 ডে ওয়ার করছে, যখন হিজবুলের উপর অ্যাটাক করছে তখন আসলে তারা করছে, তখন সিরিয়া তাদের এমবাসির উপরে ভয়াবহ একটা অ্যাটাক করছিল, যেটা সকল ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ল এবং সবাই কিন্তু আসলে রিজেক্ট করছে এই ধরনের কোনো অ্যাটাককে। বাট ইরানিদের এই যে তোমার স্ট্র্যাটেজিক পেশেন্টের যেই ওয়ার্ড একটা আসলে তারা স্ট্র্যাটেজি নিছে, যে এখন না 4 মাস পর, 6 মাস পর, 1 বছর পর ডেমোক্রেট না রিপাবলিকান, এই যে আসলে তারা সময় নিতে এখন এমন একটা পর্যায়ে তারা আসছে যে এখন দেখো ইরানিদের হিজবুল্লাহ সবচেয়ে ক্লোজেস্ট অ্যালাই, যারা ইসরায়েলের একদম নেকের সামনে তারা ছিল এতদিন, তাদেরকে অলমোস্ট তাদের 80% আর্সেনাল ধ্বংস করা হয়েছে এবং তাদের রিয়েলি কোনো এখন তারা অপারেট করার মতন অবস্থায় আছে। তাদের বাশার আল আসাদ তাদের সবচাইতে রিলায়েবল অ্যালাই ছিল, যা ওই চেইনটাকে আসলে বজায় রাখতো। ওই চেইন ধ্বংস, বাশার আল আসাদ নাই। এখন সিরিয়াতে সুন্নিদের একটা রাষ্ট্র আছে, দ্বারা করাইতেছে তুরস্ক। ইরাকে তাদের যে শেষ সিস্তানির মাধ্যমে যেই ছোট মিলিশিয়া গ্রুপের আসলে তারা দখলদারিত্ব রাখছে, ওইখানেও আসলে খুব বেশি আসলে কাজের মতো না, কারণ তাদের ইয়ার ডিফেন্স বলে আসলে কোনো কিছু নাই। ইন্টায়ার ইরাক কিন্তু ছোট ছোট আসলে পিসে ভাগ করা, কুর্দিশদের একটা এলিমেন্ট আছে যেটা তোমার ইরানিদের বিপক্ষে আসলে দাঁড়াইছে। দেন তুমি হুতির কথা চিন্তা করতে পারো, হুতিরাও অলমোস্ট যা করার চেষ্টা করছে, যতটুকু করতে পারছে মুসলিমদের জন্য ভালো। ইন জেনারেল আরো বেশি তোমার এগ্রেসিভলি করার আসলে ক্যাপাসিটি তাদের নেই, যতটুকু ছিল তার ভিতরে আসলে তারা করছে। এই পুরা চেনের ভিতরে লাস্ট ছিল হলো বিগ ড্যাডি ইরান। ইরানের উপরে তোমার ইসরায়েল আমেরিকা অ্যাটাক করছে 12 ডে ওয়ার, যেটা জুন মাসে হয়েছে 2025 সালে। তখনও ইরান স্টিল কিছু পজিটিভ সাইন ছিল, যেরকম ইসরায়েলের ভূমিতে অ্যাটাক করা, হিট করতে পারা। ওই জিনিসটা আসলে অনেকেরই টনক নড়াইছে যে আসলে হ্যাঁ মুসলিমরা আসলে অ্যাটাক করতে পারে, কারণ ইরান কিছু কিছু নোশন কিন্তু আসলে ব্রেক করছে ইসরায়েলের, যে ইসরায়েল আনস্টপেবল না। ইসরায়েল ফার্স্ট অফ অল মানে আমরা আসলে যে আমাদের মুসলিম স্কলাররাই বলে যে আয়রন ডোম আরো কি উইয়ার্ড আসলে তোমার লাইন বলে যে ইসরায়েলকে আসলে কেউ কোনো সময় হারাইতে পারবে না, এবং ইসরায়েলের সাথে আমরা দাজ্জালকে একটা কানেকশন দিয়েছি যে ইসরায়েল ধ্বংস হবে না, ইসরায়েলকে আসলে কেউ ধ্বংস করতে পারবে না, ইসরায়েলকে আসলে কেউ অ্যাটাক করতে পারবে না, অ্যাটাক করলেও জিততে পারবে না। এই যে একটা জিনিস ডেভেলপ করতেছিল, ওই জিনিসটা আসলে আমার মনে হয় এই প্রথম লাস্ট 30-40 বছরে যে হিট করতে পারছে মুসলিমরা এত সফলতার সাথে, অ্যাটলিস্ট 50 ইয়ার্স তো হয়ে গেছে। 1967 সালে লাস্ট, 1973 সালে মিশরীয়দের ওই আরব যে পেনিনসুলা আসলে তোমার আবারও রিগেইন করা। সো ইরান কিছু সফলতা পাইছে যেটা আসলে মুসলিমদেরকে আসলে লং টার্মে সাহায্য করবে, বাট ইন জেনারেল তারা তাদের ওই স্ট্র্যাটেজিক পেশেন্টের জন্য যে ট্যাকটিক তারা আসলে নিয়েছে ওটা আসলে তাদের উপরেই বেশি ভারী হয়েছে। তাদের বহু আগে আরো এগ্রেসিভলি আসলে যাওয়া উচিত ছিল, এবং নিউক্লিয়ার সাথে তারা আসলে যে ডিপ্লোমেসি খেলছে এটা এত ডিজাস্টারাস ছিল এখন আমাদের চোখের সামনে, যে তোমার লিটারালি ইকোনমি ধসায় দিচ্ছে স্যাংশন দিয়া। তুমি এখনো নিউক্লিয়ারের ওই ডিপ্লোমেসি তুমি বজায় আছো, বাট নিউক্লিয়ার ডেভেলপ করো না। নিউক্লিয়ার আজ থেকে 10-15-20 বছর আগে যদি তুমি ডেভেলপ করতা, আজকে 10-15-20 বছরের ভিতরে ওই পুরো জিনিসটা কিন্তু তোমার শিথিল হওয়ার ছিল, হয়ে যেত। সো এই হলো আসলে অবস্থা ইরানিদের, খুবই ভয়াবহ একটা অবস্থা। এবং ইরানিদের যেই স্ট্র্যাটেজিক পেশেন্টের বুয়ার টেকটিক ছিল ওটা এখন অ্যাটলিস্ট বন্ধ করা উচিত, এবং মুসলিমদেরকে আরো এগ্রেসিভলি তোমার ওয়েপনাইজেশনের দিকে যাওয়া উচিত। কারণ এট দ্য এন্ড অফ দ্য ডে আল্লাহ সুবহানাহু ওয়া তাআলা কখনোই আমাদেরকে শুধু দোয়ার উপরে থাকতে বলে নাই, আমাদের ওই শ্রমটা তো আসলে দেওয়া উচিত আমাদের। আমি কালকে আসলে দেখতেছিলাম যে তুরস্ক, ইরান, পাকিস্তান এই 3টা দেশ ছাড়া মুসলিম বিশ্বে আর কারো ওয়েপন বানানোর মতো ওই ক্যাপাসিটি, লিটারালি 5% ক্যাপাসিটি তার পূরণ করার মতন সক্ষমতা নাই। সো এটা অনেক বেশি ডিজাস্টারাস ওই সেন্সে। দেখো, যদি তুমি তোমার নিজের জন্য লড়াই না করতে পারো, তুমি কিভাবে চাও যে আসলে ফিলিস্তিনের জন্য লড়াই করবা? বাংলাদেশ লিটারালি জিরো প্রোডাকশন, আমরা কোনো কিছু বিল্ড করি না, ঠিক আছে? পাকিস্তান সবচেয়ে পাওয়ারফুল রাষ্ট্র মুসলিম দেশগুলোর ভিতরে যারা অনেক কিছু ডেভেলপ করে, এবং তুরস্ক একদম এখন ফুল কেয়ারে চলতেছে সকল কিছু আসলে পাওয়ার জন্য। সো আমাদের ইরানিদের কাছ থেকে অনেক কিছু শিখার আছে, আবার ক্রিটিকও করার আছে, যে তুমি যত যাই করছো অনেক বেটার মুসলিমদের জন্য লং টার্মে, বাট তুমি তোমার নিজেকে আসলে বাঁচানোর জন্য যথেষ্ট হও নাই এখনো। তোমার এখন অনেক এগ্রেসিভ অনেক পলিসি নেওয়া উচিত ছিল, স্পেশালি নিউক্লিয়ার যে পলিসিটা ছিল। আজকের জন্য এতটুকুই। আসসালামু আলাইকুম ওয়া রাহমাতুল্লাহি ওয়া বারাকাতুহু।